Okay, welcome everyone to Network in Action's Daily Dose. Certainly glad you could join us, and hope all of you are following the protocols and staying healthy, keeping your families healthy. After all, today there's nothing more important than that. I'm going to steal a little bit of Michael's time here and talk just a couple of minutes on some government programs we've been talking about each day, and hopefully you're finding these helpful. Number one, I have downloaded about a 10 or 12 page deck on the U.S. Senate committees on the small business guide to financing your small business. So I have been giving out some information that recently has been updated, so I wanted to clean that up a little bit. There are three basic places that you can go for help financially, or three separate programs. One of them is the PPP, which we've been talking about in the CARES Act, which just in a nutshell gives you 2.5 times your payroll. There were a couple things that changed in the last day or so of that. Number one, we were talking about how you couldn't double dip, so you really need to strategize about which loan program. That seems to not be true. You can't get more than one government program to help you. So the idea being, if you need a quick infusion of money, the PPP, the payroll protection, will be the quickest. It looks like you will be able to use independent contractors. So if you have payroll of 4, 5, 10 people and a couple other independent contractors that you were paying over the last year, it looks like you will be able to put those in there and get 2.5 times that amount. That is going to be relieved if you keep all those people on your payroll. So that's important to remember. If you don't, then you'll have to pay some of that money back. So all of this should just be a reference for you to go get more information. I don't want you to consider me the expert on these topics. Can talk to your CPA, talk to your banker. I talked to my banker this morning, and they do not have instructions from the federal government yet, but the Act says that they have to have them, I think, in 14 days. So they're expecting to have them in the next few days, probably by Thursday or Friday of this week. And at that point, if you wanted to go down and get the PPP loan, you would go straight to an SBA lender and submit your application. You might even be able to do it online, they're talking about. So that's going to be the quickest way to get some money, and that's for keeping your payroll intact, 2.5 times whatever your payroll is. And then there's the Small Business Debt Relief Program, which is probably the second fastest way to get a small amount of money, and you can find out information about that on the SBA site. And then lastly, the Economic Injury Disaster loans, which are going to take at least 120 days, probably longer, but you ought to plan on 90 to 120 days. And those amounts are greater. And the good news there is they changed the amount. You can now get up to $200,000 without collateralizing, where it looked like early stages it was going to be $25,000. So that's a real 40,000 foot level. I don't want to take too much time, but I want to let you know that on the next email that goes out, if you're a Network in Action member, you will see a deck, about a 12-page deck straight from the Small Business SBA and the Senate committee that wrote this bill. And it's really a good document that outlines exactly who qualifies and why you should go for each one. So that will be going out on the next email. If you're not a Network in Action member, all you have to do is email me at scott@networkinaction.com, and I'll make sure you get this deck. Okay? Any questions before we move on to our subject of the day? Any questions on that I might be able to answer or help you with? Let's see if there's any. Craig, I would always take any help you can give me. If you want to send it to me, scott@networkinaction.com. That would be awesome. Okay, and so real quick, we've got 5 great speakers lined up this week, every day at 1 o'clock Central Time. Zoom with NIA.com. We've got a host of different topics, and I think you're going to find all of them valuable. But today we're going to get to start with Michael Rager. Michael is a good buddy of mine. I say this every single day. I'm sorry, but for those of you who are on here every day, but really the best part of what I do in the last 4 years is I have just met the top business people in every area, in every field. We have great members, and we're getting to hear from a lot of them during this time. So we're in the midst of looking at our path forward after this Friday in terms of whether we'll continue the daily dose or some modification of it. We might do some interviews with some members. But for this week, we've got a great lineup. Michael has been very involved in the John Maxwell Institute. I'll let him talk about his relationship with John Maxwell, leadership, the greatest leadership coach of our lifetime, and has his own company. So, Michael, I'm going to turn over to you. We look forward to hearing about the 6 cylinders. Thank you for being with us today.
All right. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're having a good one. It's nice here in Houston. It stopped raining. So, I don't feel bad being just out for a little bit. Well, let's talk a little bit about business. What's going on right now is we're all going to have challenges what's going on in business, and things are going to be good. Things are going to be bad. It depends on where you are. I got one company right now that went from, making a few thousand a month over 50,000 a month this month. I mean, they're rocking and rolling. They're in a sanitizing business. They're just making a crap load of money. So, but they've got their own set of things that are, challenges for them. And we got to look at businesses. There's going to be challenges. So I want to pull up my screen a little bit. I'm going to go through a little bit of a slide presentation that I do for a little bit, and give you a little bit of background about who I am, what I do, and then we're going to go into a little bit of deep with the 6 figures, or the 6 cylinders. All right, let me move the control bar here. There we go. So this is a presentation I do a lot on marketing. A little bit about me. I'm a business coach. I help create self-managing, self-multiplying businesses. And what that means is we didn't get into business to work in the business 80 hours a week. Okay, we got into business to build companies that become assets. If you guys have not read the book Built to Sell by John Warlow, I recommend, if you own a company, you should read it. It doesn't mean you have to sell your company, but what I'm looking at is I want you to build a business that becomes a sellable asset. Once it's a sellable asset, if something tragic happens, you will be able to sell it. I'm an owner of 2 companies. One of them is Teach Your Business to Fish. As you can see by that picture there, I don't do anything small. I go with my companies. I'm looking for big things. I'm looking for big things from them. But we have step-by-step on how to get there. Another company I own is one called Corporate Memory Solutions. I think it's really vital with business owners. It's all about documenting what you do, why you do it, and how you do it, so you can share the business and actually grow it. I am a founding partner, like Scott said, of the John Maxwell team. I'm the executive director of the John Maxwell team. If you guys don't know John's, you just Google leadership guru, and John's the dude that comes up. And, just great training. I've worked with a few NIA members on working on their leadership. And, it's one of the things I do with my clients. I don't just work with how to fix the business, but I work with them as how to become a better leader. One guy I'm working with right now, he's transitioning to owning the company. He's buying it from his dad, and we're teaching him how to become the CEO. He doesn't know what to do, and we're teaching him how to do that. I used to work for a company called Action Coach, so you'll see a little bit of that stuff in there. But my background is I've 25 years. I was in project management in the oil and gas industry. So I do have a master's degree in trout biology. So that's where the Teach Your Business to Fish comes from. So it just should make you extremely confident right now that you're going to get good business information from a trout biologist. So I want to make you guys all confident with that right now. And so we don't have enough time to go through who you are. There's too many of you on here. But how do we do this? This is going to get into the 6 cylinders. This is the beginning of it. Number 1 is strategy. You've got to have a strategy. The very first question I ask a potential client is, what is the end of your business? If you have no idea what the end of your business is, there's no way we can actually build it. All right? There's no way we can actually build it. And if you guys have questions, please go ahead and fill them in the chat, and I'll get Scott or John to share with me what's going on. But you have to understand what the end of your business is. If you go to buy a house or build a house, you just don't go to a builder and say, build me a house. You say, I want this. I want a colonial. I want a single story. I want a 3-story. I want 4 stories. I want a pool. You got to know exactly what you're going to build. And that's your end game. You got to have a long-term strategy. The next thing is to get to that long-term strategy, we got to break it down into short chunks. And I look at 90-day chunks with my clients. We got to have a short-term strategy on how we'll get there. So we got to understand the strategy is where we want to go, how we're going to get there. Right now with what you're doing, I'm going to go in and show you something I use called the business health check. And we go through these 6 steps. And we're going to give you some steps, the things that you can be working on right now, no matter what's going on in your business. Number 2 is you got to focus on sales and marketing. 90% of people believe that the best way to grow profits and revenues is by sales and marketing. And that's only true if you're a startup. If you've been in business for a while, the fastest way to increase your bottom line is not sales and marketing. It's not. It's going to be looking on operations and finance and things like that. We can make more profit quicker. Sales and marketing is a long-term strategy. What happens is you've got to understand exactly who your clients are, and you've got to send them the right message, okay? With sales and marketing, what happens is people get sold tactics. They get a lot of tactics, and they don't have a strategy. I had a client come to me, a potential client came to me a year ago. She was in this contract, and listen to me what she did for her clients. She was a cleaner. She cleaned offices, and she specialized in cleaning dental offices. All right. Very knowing who her client was. Somebody sold her a tactic of what we're going to do is we're going to put you on this text message program. And what's going to happen is every time somebody goes into a dental office in this zip code where you are focusing on, they're going to get a message that talks about your cleaning business. I don't know about you, but if I'm going into a dentist office with a toothache, the last thing I want to get is a text message sending me information about somebody who's cleaning a dental office. And she paid per text message that went out. She got sold a shitty tactic that was nowhere with her strategy, and it cost her almost $2,000 to get out of the contract. You've got to go in and you've got to actually know who your clients are. You've got to have a strategy, then apply the right tactics. This was a crappy tactic, and she gets sold. People get this all the time. We also have to have a sales process. So once we get clients coming in, how do we sell them? There's this generally a step-by-step thing. I'm doing another seminar on Thursday. If you guys want some information, I'm going to go into a lot more detail on this sales and marketing stuff on this stuff Thursday. If you guys want to come, great. It's free, but you got to do that. The next thing we look at in the 6 cylinders, the next cylinder is operations. You've got to understand that operations is the key to success. If you can't deliver, you can't do anything. You can't be successful. I just took on a client that's a carpet cleaning company, and they specialize in high-end Oriental rugs, right? So if you spill a glass of wine on your high-end Oriental rug, they come, they pick it up. There's certain things that they have to do to fix it. I went in, they wanted to really look at marketing. They're doing about $2 million a year. They like to be doing more. But before we even started looking at marketing, I went in and I said, hey, look, I talked to the operations manager. I said, what happens? You got the 16,000 square foot warehouse right now. It's full of carpets all over the floor in different stages of cleanliness. I said, what happens if we put together a successful marketing campaign and we increase business 25%? He just looked at me like pie, like somebody just like a deer in the headlights. And he said, look, I don't know. And I looked at the owners and I said, if he doesn't know, we can't do marketing yet. We have to figure out how to handle what's coming on, because a good marketing company could potentially bankrupt you if they're good at it and you can't handle operations. You've got to understand that. The next thing you got to realize and look at, the next cylinder is people. People are the lifeline of your business. We got to make sure we have the right people around. That's where that John Maxwell stuff comes in. How to be a leader, how to do what we do. Jim Collins wrote the book, probably all the business owners read it, called Good to Great. And one of the best parts about that book, he says, you got to think of your business as a bus, and you got to have the right people on the bus. And not only they got to have the right people on the bus, but you got to have them in the right seats. They got to be doing the right thing. I was on a call just before this, and one of my coaches, a guy named Carl Bryan, he's one of my mentors, and he coaches me a lot. And he's like, look, Mike, right now with the way things are, we've got to play defense. As a business owner, it's time to play defense. And we've got to look at our people. But unfortunately, most of us can't protect all the people. You've got to identify in your business who your key people are. You've got to make sure you don't lose them. Because if you're a business owner right now, you're going to be able to go poach good people from other teams. And if you got a successful business right now and you're not looking to poach successful people from other businesses, you're making a big mistake. You need to be looking at that. The next thing we look at right now is systems. The next cylinder is systems. And in that systems is a roadmap for growth. This is how things are duplicatable. This is who does what, why, and how. It's not your operations, it's how your operations actually function and how you can take things and move them and make them easy to follow. The last thing and the last cylinder is finance. And I want to tell you right now, business finance is not accounting. Business finance is not accounting. Because Scott, you just talked about going out and getting loans. And one of the things is these loans they're inherent on that you actually made money. If you go and keep running your business as an accountant would want you to run it, which is to pay no taxes, you make no money, hence you can't get any money when you go borrow it. You've got to start looking at understanding your P&L statement. You got to start running your business as that long-term strategy and what you need to do. So when I look at people, I got a 9-step process that I move them through. And I find that most times when I engage with people, they're down there in this bottom left-hand corner. They're struggling to manage time. Okay, they don't really know what's going on. And I move them through the 9 steps. And the 9 steps goes to, we got to figure out the end game. Just like I said, the strategy. What are we doing? Where are we going? Why are we doing it? The numbers. I need to understand what the numbers are in my business. What's my break-even point? What's my P&L? You know, am I doing things the right way? People need to realize that when you're running a business, the most important number is gross profit margin. You got to be looking at gross profit margin. That's the amount of money you take home. The next step I go to is what I call the 5%ers. And there's 3 things that you can look at as a business owner. And these 3 things, if you change them 5%, can increase your bottom line 36%. Number 1 is most businesses have not raised their prices in a long time. If you raise your prices 5%, that's going to be a pretty interesting effect on your business. You raise your prices 5%, it's pure profit goes into your bottom line. But this thing is multiplicatable. Multiplication happens when you do it this right. The next thing you look at is your fixed cost. These are the things that you pay every month, whether you have a sale or not. With the carpet company, for example, a few of you a couple of weeks ago got an email from me saying, I'm looking for a credit card processing company because this carpet cleaning company was charging $1.8 million of credit card bills. Their fixed costs, well, this is one of their variable costs. It had to do with the sale, but we were able to reduce that number. We were able to reduce it. So if you can reduce your fixed cost and variable costs by 5%, 36% increase in bottom line. The next thing I look at is what I call which fish. You've got to understand which fish you're trying to catch because the fish you're trying to catch will help you get rich. I'm a big fisherman, as you saw by that picture. If I tried to go back home to Michigan and fish on Lake Michigan and try to catch that yellowfin tuna, it's not going to happen. They don't live there. They're not doing what they do. We've got to know what's going on. So I got to know exactly what I'm trying to fish because that tells me know which fishing spot I need to go to. How do I get nibbles to bites? How do I start nurturing my campaign and then move you to the point where you get to where you are, where your business runs on autopilot. So when you go through all 9 steps. So I want to get out of there. I'm going to stop sharing this. So I just want you to see how I do work. Scott, do we have any questions yet?
Let's see here. Not yet.
Not yet.
Are you sharing your presentation via an email, or do we need to be taking notes? Will you send that to us when you finish?
I can send it when I'm finished.
Perfect. Perfect.
This screen I'm going to share now is going to be the most important. I'll share this with all you guys afterwards. This is going to go in now how to actually know what's going on in your business and what should be going on in each cylinder. These are things that you can work on right now. A lot of us can't get out and do sales. A lot of us can't go out and do certain things. But now this is putting it in there. What are the most important things I can do for my business? So cylinder number 1 is the strategy. I'm going to go back there to strategy. Number 1 is, do you have clear written 3-year goals for your company? If you don't have clear written goals for your company, there's no way you're going to be able to succeed. We don't know where we're going. We know what we're trying to get to. Number 2, and I think this is most important in here, I know what differentiates me from my competition. And I'm going to tell you, the differentiating factor is not that you give good service, that you're nice and you're friendly. That's the BS answer. You got to know really what differentiates you. Okay. My differentiating factors are these 6 cylinders. The guy that trained me in this, a guy named Frank Mamulo, I meet with him once every 2 weeks, and we go over these cylinders, and we know them. We know them well. Most business coaches are going out there. They're trying to get you to market. I know. I do seminars, and my seminars are on marketing. And the reason I do seminars on marketing is because nobody wants to come to one about how to read a P&L statement. It's not sexy. So you kind of got to get there and look at it. The next thing, you got to know your industry trends. You need to follow them, but you also need to look at becoming a trendsetter. I think 4, I talked about it at the beginning, is understand your exit strategy for your business. When most people are getting ready to exit businesses, they have no strategy. About what percentage of our callers are from Houston? A lot of them?
I would say, it's hard to say, half maybe.
Okay. So the half of you are here. If you're driving I-10 right now towards downtown and you get just past Shepherd, there used to be a store called the Party Store, right? A big store. It's huge. It's got a going out of business sale sign on it. And what they're doing now, it says a going into retirement sale. This guy never planned to sell his company. This store has been there for over 30 years. For Halloween, for graduation party, this place is packed. This guy had no exit strategy, and the only way he had his retirement plan going was to sell the shelving in the stores. He sold off all his inventory, all the shelving. That's it. You got to plan an exit strategy for your business, and you got to plan it now while it's still healthy, because you never know when that's going to come around. That's why I say read that book, Built to Sell, because most businesses, it takes about 2 years to get them to the point where they're sellable assets. Because we all think we got a good business and it's sellable. 90% of the time, it's not. All right. Let's go into cylinder number 2. Let's look at sales and marketing. Sales and marketing is big about KPIs. I have an annual marketing plan and metrics to track performance. You need to be tracking what's working and what's not. All right. If you're not tracking it, you're going to keep doing things that aren't working. Or what I have a bigger time with customers is they get bored with their marketing and they want to do something different when it's working. Never trade stuff that's working. You need to make it work. And it's funny, Scott, you run a networking company. Your company's built on networking groups. But here's the thing, there's only one business that's out there that is a sellable asset if all of its leads come from networks. And that's real estate, being a real estate agent. If you go to sell your business and 90% of your leads come from referrals because of you, the business owner, you can't sell it because you're the sellable asset. You've got to, networking is a part of your strategy. It shouldn't be your whole strategy. And we've got to get into having business coming to us in other ways. So we got to justify, am I satisfied with the amount of new leads I receive weekly? If not, we need to change things. For me, I don't do a lot of I do a lot of social media posting, but I'm not doing it for leads. I'm doing it to share information. A lot of my leads, a majority of them come from speaking engagements, doing stuff like this and getting up and teaching. That's where my leads, that's my best way to do it. And how do I make it duplicatable? I've hired other speakers that go out and do it for me. So it's not only just me doing it, I've got other teams going out and sharing my message that bring me clients. Here we come back again, differentiating. My prospects clearly understand why I'm different. Okay, my clients understand why I'm different. We got to share that with them. And it's not, again, it's not because I give good service. The only business I know that can say that is Chick-fil-A. What makes them different than McDonald's? It's not the high quality of food, because most of Chick-fil-A's food sucks. I'm sorry, a lot of it's not good at all, but they've got a great system for getting people in line. The people who are doing the coronavirus test should look at them. They get people through that line pretty quick at Chick-fil-A. But you go in there, their customer service is well above everybody else in their industry. So they can go say that makes them different. 90% of this business, we can't go do that. We go into product and training for your sales and distribution team. You need to be selling and you need to be training your people. All right. So that's something you can work on. If I was going to work on something right now, and I was a business owner worried about what's going on the coronavirus right now, I would be looking at who my clients are, number one, and two is what message am I giving them? And how would I do it? I would go through and list, if possible, my last 100 clients. I want to know who my last 100 clients are. I want to start figuring out the commonalities between them. Are they men? Are they women? Are they company size? What industry? Where do they come from? How did they find out about me? I would be gathering as much information as I could very quickly, because I've got about another 3-week period. I'm really thinking of everybody that I've been talking to in the industries. If in the next 90 days, you need to already have this stuff put into your potential client's mind, because when this thing breaks, they're going to be buying, and not everybody's broke right now. I know, because my one client I'm coaching right now, a company called GermWrap, they're selling the heck out of stuff to everybody, and they're paying a premium for it. So companies have money and they're going to sell it. They're going to spend it. You just got to figure out how to get it from them, because not everybody is broke. Remember that. So let's get into cylinder 3. Let's look at operations. Key performance metrics to understand operational efficiencies. We got to understand how things move through our company and where the bottlenecks are and where things break down. I coached an oil and gas company. I came from oil and gas. I was coaching an oil and gas company, and we were able to look at their processes, and we found that 95% of the time their breakdown is when they sent a crew out for a product, that the engineers were not checking that all the supplies from the supply chain got on site at the right time. So they were sending out crews that were costing them $50,000 to $100,000 a day. They would get there, and all the pieces to the puzzle that they needed were not there, so they couldn't work. So they would sit there wasting $30,000 to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a day waiting for the stuff to get there. So you've got to understand your operations efficiencies and what's good. So if I'm looking at something right now and I'm a business owner, I've got to understand, what can I fix in my operations to be more successful and more sleek? This is a time we're going to have to pivot. A lot of us are going online right now. You should be going online. You should be talking to your customers. This gives you a time right now to go talk to your customers and say, what am I doing really well? What aren't I doing really well? And how do you think I can fix it? They've got ideas. Go listen to them. Ask them what the holes are in your delivery. That's really good right now. That's another thing I'd be doing if I was sitting at home right now with my business. Start looking at your your networking capital. You don't want to spend more money than you make. One other thing is review your suppliers. This is a good time to go get deals. Start talking to your cell phone company. Start talking to your insurance company. These people that are supplying you stuff, go talk to them. They want to stay in business right now. They want to stay in business, and go get it. One of the things you should be looking at is your accounts receivable. If you've got money that's due, figure out how to get it, because cash is king, and we got to make sure that we're able to get it. So I'm halfway through the 6 cylinders. Scott, any questions from the folks?
Let's see. Michael, how do you deal with any one of us considering more than one option for the end of our companies?
More than one option. I think it's sitting down and looking at pros and cons of the options. Whether it's, I don't know if we can get any more detail if you're looking at more than one option. Is it, let's say a business is family owned, and you want your kids to take it over. I'd really make sure that my kids want to take it over. The sales side of it, how are we looking to sell it? Why are we looking to sell it? Are we looking to take on partners? There's a lot of things you got to look at. It's just like building a house. We don't know. We can start planning to move on in one way, and we might not end up going that way, but at least we've got a plan that we're moving for. I don't know if that answers the person's question. If whoever
just in case it doesn't, I'll connect you and Tony.
Okay.
Awesome.
No problem. Any others?
That's all for now.
That's all right now? Okay. Right now would be a great time if you do not have a standard operating procedure manual. Do it. I'll recommend a company to you right now. It's a company called Trainual, Trainual. If you want it, I can send you a hyperlink to them. It's a software company that helps write operating procedures. I use it for my clients, and what it does is it goes and helps business owners understand who does what, how, and why. And it's very efficient. We've got to get away from paper. I'm 55 years old. I'm almost 55 years old. And I didn't like reading manuals 25, 30 years ago when they came out. When I started building pipelines, I'd get manuals that were that thick and I had to read them and I hated every minute of it. Just think about how your new millennial workforce is going to like them. They've never had to read them. They don't want to read them. And we never wanted to read them. So we've got to make things that are simple and easy. And I use Trainual because it goes on and I can use a lot of video and I can use tests in there. And what we use it for with a lot of our clients is onboarding procedures for new staff. So we can bring them on and they can understand how they do their job and how they can do it successfully. Because the number one thing I found when I was when I work with clients at Corporate Memory Solutions and writing operation manuals and processes and procedures, people really, they're not good at giving direction on how things should be done. I used to hate it. I used to work for a company and they used to just say, just go do it. Their operating manual was Nike, just do it. And then I do it and I do it not the way they wanted and I get yelled at for it, because I didn't do it the way they wanted. You need to tell your people how to do what they need to do. Then you got to let them tell you how to make it better. Okay. Steve Jobs used to say, I didn't hire smart people to tell them what to do, but you've got to tell them at least what's expected of them and how to do it. Let them tell you how to do it better. What I used to do is we used to use this software called Author before we moved to Trainuals. And what I would tell people was when I brought a new hire on, I wanted them to do things my way for 90 days. Then in that first 90 days that they're working with me, I just wanted them to take notes about what they liked and what they didn't like. After the 90 days, I wanted them to work with me on how to update the processes and procedures we use to get better, because I wanted them to come share what was in their head from the company that they came from before. So that's some of the things that you can be doing now. You mean going with your best people and saying, okay, what do we do now well? What holes do we have? How do we fix them? Another one would be, I think the fourth one here, customer satisfaction. You need to be talking to your customers. You got time now to go and talk to your customers and find out how really satisfied they are. Because a lot of them right now, if there's a little dissatisfaction, they're sitting around now trying to figure out, are you really worth the money? So you've got to go out and I'd be going out to them right now and surveying and talking to them. And if it was me, the business owner, I'd be picking up the phone and calling them personally. Unless you got somebody that's been managing their project or managing them for a while, I would still get on that call with that person if I was the owner of the business right now to understand what I'm doing really, really, really well.
Michael, can I add something there, Michael?
Yes, sir.
I hate to interrupt you. You're on a roll, but I could not agree more. As a business owner, and I'm sure all of you are in the same boat. Now all of a sudden, 2 weeks in here, everybody's getting bombarded with webinars. I mean, I can't even keep up with all of them. So I really applaud those of you that are on this one. But I'm noticing how few of my vendors have picked up the phone and called and checked on me. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. And it'll reside right here in this little pea brain. So there's nothing like the telephone. Nothing like the telephone right now.
Oh, there's not, Scott. I think it's perfect. How important would you feel if one of your key vendors called you and started just asking you questions on what they could do to get better and help you? It's amazing. I mean,
I agree.
We have one of my clients, them, they're the home inspection firm. That's all I told them to do. Call every real estate agent that you've been doing business with and say, hey, how can we help you better? And guess what? They're still getting inspections. They're still working Because guess what? The really good people are still selling houses, and stuff has to get done. Staying top of mind, don't sit there and don't quit sharing posts about how crappy things are. Start sharing posts about how you can help make them better. That's what you need to be, because we want to get to that last line there, 36 of the cylinder 4. I don't have to be here every day to make my business run smoothly. That should be the goal of you as the business owner. I don't know, that's the goal of me as the business owner. I don't want to be here. I want to do these webinars. My strategy, my 3-year outlook with my business is, some of you guys know it, is I take teams of people on offshore fishing trips, and we get out of the office and I train them. I don't want to sit there and be coaching every day. I want to be on fishing trips once a month to really cool places and having y'all pay for it. That's what I love you for. You guys are all going to pay for me to go on really cool fishing trips. But like, one of my friends, he owns a plumbing company, and he and I go smoke cigars a lot. And I hadn't seen him for about 90 days. And this was last year, right about this time last year. And I caught up with him at an event, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen you. Where have you been? He goes, oh, I've been to the Bahamas, and I went to the Virgin Islands, and I went to Mexico. And I'm like, how's business going? He goes, man, it's great. My new general manager's rocking it. We're up 10% year-over-year sales. That's the ultimate business owner. I don't have to be there. He's like, I show up every once a month, once every 6 weeks, and give a rah-rah pep talk to everybody, call them, and the business still runs. That's what we want to be doing. I mean, this guy, his plumbing company is by where I live in the Heights, and I drive by, and he's got 30, 40 vans going out every day. It's awesome. So that's some of the things you can be looking at. He said, but it's there because he has a very well systematically built business. So let's go down to people.
Hey, Mike, real quick.
Yep.
Before you get onto that, there was a question that's kind of been sitting around in the bucket for a little bit from Chris. He says, how do you keep your 5% people when revenue is down and you don't have quote unquote work to keep them busy?
Right. When things right now are down, I've got a couple companies that have actually laid off people because they knew they were going to bring them back. You need to keep your people informed on what your plan is. I think if you need to make some drastic changes, like the one company did, they're shut down for 2 weeks because they can't do anything. They let people know, hey, we're going to lay you off, and we have every.
And I would say that.
You back.
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna add, that's exactly why. That you should take a look at the relief program being offered by the FCBA that'll get that money back in your hands, hopefully in the next 10 days.
Yep.
That's piece of it.
Yeah, that's what we got them looking at. We've been waiting for this stuff to come out so they know, exactly what their opportunities are going to be. And, I've got a couple people that I know that are experts in these types of things that have been sharing me the same type of information that you've been sharing, Scott, is, what can we do? A lot of companies, a few companies have, asked people to take reductions in salaries and stuff. But for small business, if you're going to be hit by this thing for 60 to 90 days, it's going to be hard for you to do things. You just got to let your key people know what your intentions are. You got to sit down with them and be honest. And they appreciate that. They really do. If you tell them the truth, this is what I'm planning to do, I hope that answers the question. But that's all my people work with me on. My people are contractors to me. And so they get paid by what they kill. And they're out doing webinars, every week right now, because they're trying to bring in more clients, to fill myself and the new coaches that I'm bringing on board. So
there's one other question here, Michael. What about suggestions for sole proprietors, or if your sales working for someone else?
Could you get more detail on that question?
Yeah. Craig, if you will, type in a little bit. I'm not clear what you mean by sales working for someone else. And Kathy Bowersox just added, obviously, transparency is key. You let your employees know your plan.
Yep. I know Kathy well, and I know she's been through some interesting stuff. So Kathy's somebody I trust on giving some good good advice there.
So Craig mentions he's an affiliate, like an insurance agent. That was what his.
Okay. You can still sell insurance. There should be nothing stopping you right now. And I'd imagine a lot of companies right now are probably offering some deep discounts. They're starting to offer some discounts or some changes. If I'm a sole proprietor like that and I'm selling for a company, I'm selling as much as possible. It's going back to just what you said earlier, Scott, was pick up the phone. I'd be picking up the phone and talking to as many people as possible. You know, one of the guys that I coach is a sales guy for an insurance agency, and his meetings have doubled in the last 2 weeks because he said people that normally were blowing him off for meetings now have no excuse to blow him off. And he's like doing 8 or 9 Skype calls a day, Zoom calls a day. He's just picking up the phone and doing it. So if I was doing it, I used to sell life insurance, I'd be picking up the phone and calling everybody I know.
Here's the way I look at it, Michael, and here's sort of what we've talked about. There's one or two ways to approach this, and one of them, and some percent of the population will choose to do this, and that's just sort of go into your cocoon, go into your cave, and ride it out and pray and hope. And the other way is just, you've got time on your hands. I'm just encouraging everyone I know to reach out to as many people as you can and just check on them. And it's not going to put money in your pocket this week, but those people are going to become relationships. If you think about people in your lifetime that have been there for you in times of duress or times of stress, they're going to circle back later in some way that's going to manifest itself, you know, with currency. But today you can't really worry about that or dictate that. So we had somebody on here. Let's see, it was with the interior decorator. You know, obviously, yeah, your clients are closed, Mary Lynn. Your clients are closed. Your industry's all shut down. People probably aren't doing a lot of big time interior decorating jobs. You know, people don't want people in their home. But if I was you, I'd reach out to every single person that your path has crossed since you've been in business and just say hello and check on them. And it's like there's a big time real estate coach, drawing a blank on his name, in California. And his whole program is predicated on just reaching out to people regularly, and you're going to stay front of mind. So now that you have a little bit of time to do that, can be the best use of your time.
Yeah, the phone should be your friend right now. I mean, no doubt about it. The phone should be your friend, and you just need to get on it and just talk to people. You know, I did. You know what you said about trying to get revenue right now. I've got at least 4 webinars set up for the next 4 weeks. You know, once a week, and I've got sponsors for all of them. And these sponsors they're bringing they're either potential clients or current clients on, so they can learn some of this stuff. And you know, it's a great value add. You know, I've got an attorney that's filling the thing for me. I've got a bookkeeping company that's filling it for me. I've got a major restaurant in Houston. They're filling this for me. And it's because they see the value of adding stuff to their clients. I go on this and I'm not really pitching to sell my services. Of course I would love new clients. And of course I've taken on some new clients, but I have taken on a few at reduced costs. And I've set up a couple free things to go forward, you know, just so I can keep them in top of mind and answer their questions for the next couple weeks as they come through it. You know, I just know if I go give, you know, is that thing, you know, give what you want to receive. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give. And I know in the back end, it's going to come pay off for me. You know, I'm going to get clients from it. I'm going to help them. So, you know, you kind of go from there. So let's just finish the last cylinder. The last cylinder here is finance. And I'm going to tell you, probably this is the one we get to that 90% of business owners are really, really, really bad at. Understanding their finances. The ones that are really good, they get it. But you got to have an operating budget and use it. Reading a financial statement, you know, understanding your accounts receivable, your accounts payable, your profit and loss statement, the difference between, you know, fixed costs and variable costs. I think those are important. And I think the one number I think is the most important is understanding your break even. You know, I get my clients where they understand their monthly break even, weekly break even, and daily break even. You know, they don't get it off, you know, the first day, but they start knowing it. You know, if you ever watch the TV show The Profit, You know, it's one of my favorite TV shows. And if you're in business, if you're not watching The Profit, you're kind of dumb, because there's a lot of good stuff being given away there for free. But he always asks what your numbers are, what your numbers, what your numbers, what your numbers. And you need to understand your numbers and embrace it. You know, use key performance metrics to track financial performance. You know, it's depending on what you do. I got one of my clients is a bakery. You know, one of the things that they track is what's the average revenue per door open. You know, pretty interesting to know. You know, and we want to understand that revenues and especially profits are growing each year. So that's the 6 cylinders. There's things in there you can work for. Scott, I'll send you this, or if you want, anybody wants to email me and say, I want a copy of this, I'll send it to you. And then I'll do a 30-minute call to go through it with you. You know, I'm going to stop sharing right now, Scott. I've got a software called Profit Accelerator, and I go through this thing, and it helps putting a lot of this stuff into place, and shows how a company will really make more money by doing a lot of these things. And I'm more than happy if anybody here wants to go through the Profit Accelerator software. I'd love to do it. It's a 2-hour commitment, but I'll definitely do it. I normally charge $500 to do it, but you know, where we are now, I'll do it for free. Let's get do it. You know, I'll offer that to you guys.
Awesome.
So I see Tony wrote, it's a great time to work on your marketing email. Yes, it is. You know, you've got to be working on that right now. Marketing's key. And that's where I say you really got to be focusing again on who your client is. I got, like, one of my little signature talks on Facebook is called Fishing with Hot Dogs. And every time I go to networking events, I think I give the same story about 90 times to somebody, because when I go to networking events, the three industries that get it to me all the time are real estate agents, insurance agents, and financial advisors. None of them have any idea who their clients really are. You go ask them, who's your client? Well, anybody looking to buy a house. BS. Who's your financial advisor? Who's your client? Oh, somebody's looking to retire. BS. You got to get that. And I call it Fishing with Hot Dogs. And the story is this. It's about a 2-minute story. Is when I was a little kid, nobody in my family fished, and I started to learn to fish by watching TV shows. And I grew up in Michigan, and a lot of my friends, they fished with worms and night crawlers. And my parents, we had a pretty nice boat, and we were going to this place called Metro Beach. And I'm loading up all my fishing gear, and I'm like, Mom, we got to go by the bait shop first, and I got to get some worms. And she looked at me and she said, son, there's no way in hell you're bringing stinky, nasty worms on my nice new boat. You know, we just paid a lot of money for this boat. It's clean. No way. And I'm like, what am I going to fish with? And she goes, hot dogs. And so I did. And did I catch any fish? I did. I caught fish on hot dogs. But what did I catch? I caught carp, and I caught bullheads, and I caught suckers. I caught catfish. I caught a couple bluegills, and I actually caught 1 bass. And this is what most business owners do. They fish with hot dogs. That's it. You go out, who am I looking for? Anybody who does this, anybody who does this. And it's complete and utter BS. It's not going to work. And what I found is going from that 9-year-old Mike to about 12-year-old Mike, I went up north. Everybody in Michigan goes up north for vacation. And I went up north. We went to this town called Ludington, and Ludington was known for salmon. And my grandpa took me salmon fishing. He hated fishing. He never did it, but he took me salmon fishing. And I learned that salmon live anywhere in water from 80 to 300 feet deep, but they live in a very certain part of that water column, and it's based on temperature. And the temperature is generally 62 to 72 degree water, and that moves up and down. And they use something called downriggers to put your bait exactly where that water temperature is. And guess what? They didn't use hot dogs for bait. They used these lures that look like smelt or shad or stuff like that, the San Marine. So you had to know exactly where you are. That's what you got to do with your business. You got to understand what fish you're going to catch, what they're eating, and where they are. Because one thing I learned from one of my fishing mentors is fish only do 2 things. They feed and breed. Your clients only do 1 or 2 things. You got to know exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, and how to get in front of them to do what you need to do. And I would be looking on that for my marketing message right now.
That's a great story. Great story. Awesome. Michael, tell everybody your email address before we go. And I know we'll have it on.
It's Michael at teachyourbusinesstofish.com.
Lost him there for a second, so I just want to. He'll come back here in a second, hopefully. But Abe Lincoln said, if I had 8 hours to cut down a tree, I would spend 6 of it sharpening my saw. Yep. So I want to thank y'all and bless y'all that I think you're in the right place during this time. Keep sharpening your saw. Attend as many of these as you can. And I thought I would finish. Michael, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Your email, please.
It's Michael at teachyourbusinesstofish.com.
Awesome. And it's on the chat there, Michael at teachyourbusinesstofish.com. It'll also be on the email we send out with the summary of this recording. So I was doing a little reading, and I thought this was appropriate since Herbert Hoover was the president during the Great Depression. And he said, there are things in the world that cannot be brought about. There are mistakes that cannot be repaired, but there's one thing for sure, that loyalty and friendship are the most precious possessions a man can have. So work on your loyalty and your friendships during this time. And just remember, he said one other thing, blessed are the young, for they shall inherit the national debt. Have a great day. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 1 o'clock.